We unpack. We unpack. We unpack. Coming to you live, Boxing Ego unpack. Yeah. We unpack. We unpack. We unpack. Coming to you live.
Hey, payday, you want payday? I know that. It is official. The Cinnabons, the Canelo man fans are amongst some of the lamest and most hypocritical fans in modern boxing history. Let me explain. Ego thoughts. So, reports have come out that Canelo Alvarez is likely to pick Puerto Rican fighter Edgar Berlanga for his next opponent, even competing with UFC 306. I think this is a poor pick. I've already talked about that and why. And now I want to break down the hypocrisy from the Canelo base, the Cinnabons, the Canelo man fans. Now, here's a funny thing. The term man fans, your boy Ego created that. So y'all got to give me credit, because I see a lot of people run around with the man fans and they don't want to pay homage to the channel that they all steal from. And y'all know the boy Ego be coming up with the lingo and making it wavy in the sport of boxing. Nobody was saying man fans before me. I created that term. I remember distinctly. We were actually on the live stream. But let me know what you guys think. I just see a lot of people use the word man friend. Just like when I came up with British teeth and everybody was saying British teeth when the UK had any semblance of a wave in boxing. But I digress. Back to it. So Canelo Alvarez, he continues to pick these like one-off fights with no real hopes for anything. And I'm gonna break this down in a way that I know you guys haven't really heard, because I'm the most articulate, I'm the most effective, efficient speaker in boxing history in the digital age. Let me break this down. One thing for a long time, and the new fans might not be able to appreciate this, but long-time boxing fans can appreciate this. One thing that dramatically hurts the sport of boxing in 2024 that you guys are seeing more often in recent years is no trilogies, no sequels in the sport of boxing. So let me explain. Imagine if Hollywood, if every movie that they came up with was not a sequel, was not part of a franchise, it was not a trilogy. So just think about it. If they only made one Indiana Jones, only one Fast and the Furious movie, if they only made one Harry Potter, that would be it. And then you have to make a new movie every single time. Versus when you have a trilogy or a franchise, Star Wars, or even Star Trek, or Die Hard. Yippee-ki-yay, mother. Was always a little impartial to Roy Rogers. Yippee-ki-yay, mother. Right? If you didn't have these trilogies, then you have nothing to build up and build from. Because like with the trilogy, like let's say it's Fast X or something, Fast 20 or whatever number they're on. You already know the mantras. You already know the cast. Of course, Paul Walker, rest in peace. He passed away. And you may have missed some characters or maybe didn't renew their contracts or whatever. But you know the core cast. You know Tyrese and what he does. You know Ludacris. Luda. You know Vin Diesel. You know Michelle Rodriguez, etc., etc. So Hobbs and Shaw, The Rock, you're already familiar with the characters from the previous installments. That's what's missing in boxing. And it's because of people like Canelo Alvarez. Because he's picking these one-off fights and there's really no hopes for a sequel to it because they're one-sided fights and you know they're going to be one-sided. Notice how when he fought someone who was actually the public push for, hell no, guys, right? Triple G Golovkin, you got an eventual trilogy out of it. Definitely got two back-to-back, the first two fights. But when you fight Avni Pilgrim, and eardrums, and you fighting Berlanga and John Ryder and Jermell Charlo at 54 pounder at 68. No one asked for it. It makes for no necessity or no reason to even create a trilogy, because the first fight was as expected. There's no surprises, so you can't really do anything. Versus when you see like a great fight, Jermell Charlo versus Brian Castano, you could do a part 1 and 2 because the first fight was so good and it was a draw and nobody actually clearly won. So you have the rubber match, you know, you have the sequel. Same thing with Wilder Fury. You notice we have good trilogies, but in boxing nowadays, because you have people moving like Canelo, you're getting less of that. But if Canelo were to fight David Benavidez, I firmly believe you could get 2, maybe even a trilogy or more from that particular matchup, right? And that's one thing that's lacking in the sport of boxing because of players like Canelo Alvarez. I was born ready, right? He's not giving you those types of looks, so you don't even have the opportunity for that. And I think that's poor for boxing, because boxing has always done well with rematches and always done well. Like you have a Lennox Lewis and Mike Tyson, or actually Lennox Lewis and Evander Holyfield, and you have Evander Holyfield, Mike Tyson, things like that. You get sequels, you get Duran and Sugar Ray Leonard, you're getting trilogies. But Mickey Ward, Arturo Gatti, that's great because it's the crowd is already familiar with the storyline. But with a lot of fights nowadays, you know, people are not picking, like there's no reason for me to see Canelo versus Munguia part 2. I mean, based on what I seen in the first fight, it didn't really warrant that. And I think that's one major thing that's missing. So ego rant over. I just wanted to put that out there. But all in all, Canelo should be fighting David Benavidez. At least fight David Morrell, one of these new cats. You're fighting Edgar Berlanga. And now I want to talk about the hypocrisy. The hypocrisy is very simple, and I can say it in the next minute. The hypocrisy is these fans claim that they are boxing fans, but they're really the fan of a particular fighter. And the reality is you greenlight and gaslight Canelo and fighters that you like to do wrong. Me on my channel, I don't reward bad behavior. Canelo should be fighting Benavidez, his mandatory. If he had a weak mandatory like Yildirim that nobody wanted to see, I guarantee you he would take it. But when it's a big fight, massive fight, and a dangerous fight, then conveniently he don't want to take it. And he want to pick and choose and then bring up all of his old work and preview. Oh, when I fought Trout, nobody cared. You talking about a fish, bro. Nobody care about the Trout fight from 2013, you know? But that's part of your lineage and legacy. I get it, but no one cares in 2024. Some people might not have even been boxing fans. Boxing is a competitive sport, and people forget that. It's entertainment, but it's also sport. We want to see you fight the best. If you're not willing to do that, or at least fight top guys and ranked guys some of the time, you know, more often than not, then you probably should retire. If you feel you just accomplished so much, you don't want to challenge yourself anymore, then that's not really the fighter spirit. So the hypocrisy comes from a pick like Berlanga. There's going to be maybe a small minority of people who disagree and say like, oh, Berlanga is a great pick. The bottom line is this: Berlanga does not deserve, in terms of he did X, Y, and Z to earn a shot at Canelo. And the Canelo man fans are famous for that. They're famous for telling you in the past that Big Charlo, when he was active at 160 and Canelo was at 160, didn't earn and needs to do all this to get a Canelo fight. Or at 54 and 60, when Demetrius Andrade was undefeated southpaw and he was chasing Canelo, they're telling you, oh, Andrade, he doesn't deserve a Canelo sweepstakes. He need to do more. He hasn't fought nobody, you know, et cetera, et cetera. Oh, David Benavidez, what has he done? You know, Canelo even said it. His excuses have had to evolve because no one was buying it. First, it was like, I don't want to fight a Mexican. And then people say, hey, he's half Mexican, half Ecuadorian. And then he switches to from I don't want to fight someone who bears the same flag as me, to it now becomes something different. Like, oh man, okay, so since y'all called me out and revealed that he's half Mexican, so it should be no excuse. And Canelo did fight in his last fight Jaime Munguia, who's full-blooded Mexican. So you already are a liar just based on that. Because if you don't want to fight a Mexican, then why not at least fight the half-breed or a half Mexican mixed person? You know, you're gonna fight a full-on Mexican on both sides who originates from Mexico. David Benavidez is from Arizona. Munguia is from Mexico. You see what I'm saying? So if that was really a rule, then you would have at least fought Benavidez because he's half Ecuadorian. So just more lies from Canelo. But moving on from that, it switched from I don't want to fight someone who shares the same flag to it evolves to, oh, you fight nobody. You fight Juan Anthony Dorel. Please do not disrespect. You know what I mean? And Canelo's saying these types of things. And then Benavidez works on his resume and destroys Andrade in a fashion we've never seen, and beats a mutual opponent in Caleb Plant, almost stops him, but kind of the referee was involved there. But nonetheless, he clearly won. And you have Canelo who says, oh, now I need 150 mil to 200 mil. Now it's 200 mil. It's constantly moving of the goalpost. That's the point I'm making. And it just looks sad, and it looks pathetic for the sport of boxing, and it looks pathetic to be part of Canelo's base, and the world is seeing it, because no other fighter, from John Ryder to Average Pilgrims and Edgar Berlanga, none of these other guys have to go through this rigmarole and go through this obstacle course to land a Canelo fight, but it's only the most dangerous and sought out from the fans fights that got to do all this waiting. Like Triple G had to wait. People forget about this because we eventually got the trilogy. People wanted to see that Canelo and Triple G fight long before it actually unfolded. But Canelo was stalling it and telling Triple G to come to 155, some made up Canelo weight. And that's what Canelo's MO is. And it's very apparent. And his fans look stupid, as I've stated, because at the end of the day, you said all these other guys needed to prove their worth and build up their resume and fight each other. And even when they do that, like David Benavidez fought Caleb, fought Andrade, they still don't get the fight. And the person who hasn't fought anybody, like Edgar Berlanga, he gets the fight. Canelo is bad for boxing at this point, period. And then on top of that, you're going against UFC 306 first fight in the Vegas sphere, and you're going against a weak selection that people aren't even excited for. And what happened to all that? They need to fight each other. How come Munguia and Berlanga didn't fight, which would have been a far better fight, and then Canelo fight the winner? Or Munguia fight Benavidez and Canelo fight the winner? Or Berlanga fight Benavidez and Canelo fight the winner? I'll tell you why. Because Canelo Alvarez doesn't want to be dictated to, and especially if you're making a tournament, like a mini tournament with Berlanga and let's say David Benavidez or Munguia and Benavidez, Canelo would not be able to control the cards and ensure that these guys beat Benavidez. So the pressure would definitely be on for him to fight Benavidez. That's the reality of it. Because me personally, ego, I strongly believe Benavidez would have fought, if he would have fought undefeated Berlanga or undefeated Munguia, he would have definitely beat him, and it would have beat him by stoppage. But Canelo does not. He's a control freak, so he doesn't like to be that much out of control. So instead of doing what he said, which is, oh, you guys fight each other, I fight the winner, he literally said that in an interview. He don't really want that, because if you wanted that, you would have did a mini tournament or advocated for a mini tournament, Benavidez versus Munguia or Berlanga, and fought the winner. But you want to pick and choose who you want to pick and choose because you feel you've already done enough of your career. Checkmate. We unpack.